All right.
All right, welcome to tonight's regular city council meeting. Please keep in mind that the rules of decorum are enforced. Please remain quiet in the chambers. All right, with that, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Please be seated. City Secretary, we have a quorum this evening. One council member is absent due to city business, and that would be Eva Martinez. Proof of notice of meeting, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Notice of this meeting was posted by 2 p.m. on April 11th.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, next up will be public comments. Let me remind you, if you're going to speak on a public comment, you need to come up to the podium, state your name, your ward. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and council cannot respond to you. City Secretary, are there any public comments?
Yes, first up, we have Austin Smith, Ward 1, commenting on item 12C, the municipal swimming pool ordinance.
Hello, I'm Austin Smith from Ward 1, and I was going to talk about the changes to the swimming pool ordinance that were discussed last week and are on the agenda this week. In general, I think that they were good and necessary. I do have one specific disagreement, and that is the raising of the age of unaccompanied people from 6 to 13. I think that 13 is much too high, and I would ask that you consider 8 or 9. I understand and sympathize with the idea that the lifeguards are not babysitters, but I would say that 8 or 9-year-olds are not babies. They're heading toward middle school, and they should know, and most of them do act well in public spaces. They should know how to do that. And I know that it would be possible for a 13-year-old to be in high school and just able to go to the public school or public pool on their own. That would have been the case for me when I went to school here. But instead, when I lived here, when I was growing up, I have fond memories of taking a little bit of money, heading out to McDonald's or something, getting lunch, eating that on the way to the public pool, spending the rest of the afternoon at the pool. And that was just fantastic, a great experience that this safe and small community can provide. It was also probably a relief to my parents, who there is a pervasive idea these days that parents need to be with their children 100% of the time from birth till 13 or 14 or later. And I don't think that's healthy. I think that children need to be a part of the community, and that they should have that opportunity to develop away from their parents. And I also am concerned that for working families, they might not have the time or the energy or a family friend to let the kids take the kids to the pool. And that effectively cuts off access to the public pool for some children. And children are already complaining around here that there isn't enough to do. So I think that those kids may, as they grow up, and if their opportunities are restricted, they may turn to less savory activities, or they may take their first opportunity to leave and never come back. Several of my classmates did. And I don't think that this is going to be like the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't think it's going to be catastrophic or the most important thing the city council is discussing tonight even. But I do think that it's a compounding effect that would lead Alpine to not being the most prosperous place it can be. So again, I would ask that you consider 8 or 9 as the minimum age for unaccompanied minors. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. City Secretary, any other public comments?
Yes, lastly, we do have Shelley Atwood, Ward 4, discussing item 8B, special use permit 2025-04-02.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shelley Atwood and I live in Ward 4. I'm here to urge you to deny the special use permit for 405 West Avenue E, which seeks to keep operating as a short-term rental. Since it became an STR, our lives have been upended. I'm asking you to put Alpine residents first. We used to have neighbors, folks we trusted. Now it's strangers who leave chaos. Since these owners took over, we've had over a half dozen sewer backups, not counting when a new utility pole pierced our line years ago. 3 weeks ago, a sewer backup led to our gas line being severed during repairs. And then just this past weekend on Saturday, we had another backup. The city asked us what we're putting in the sewer, but shouldn't they be asking the short-term renters? They can clog the sewer and leave, and we're left to contend with the health risks and unusable toilets. The Austin-based owners face none of this. Then there's the noise. Their corrugated metal fence was loosened when they poorly replaced a perpendicular section for a sewer trench that ran next to our house. The spring winds of 2024 caused the metal to bang day and night for a month. We reached the owners to report the nuisance, but it still took 2 weeks to fix. Recently, guests played loud music all day and night, forcing us to call the police at 3 a.m. And now I'm worried about fire safety. The previous owner was told by the gas department that her kitchen's range was unsafe, so she stopped using it. Have inspectors checked if it's safe now? With strangers cooking there, and after last May's downtown fire, an STR fire hazard is a real concern. We have a salon doing business across the street and a bar permitted to keep late hours less than 200 feet away. If I lean toward conspiracies, I'd wonder why the STR permit letter arrived the day after the gas line was cut, like someone wants us out. But I'm here with facts. This STR brings sewer backups, noise, and risks, eroding Alpine's charm. The city claims state law forces STR approvals, but I've found no such law. Texas lets cities regulate STRs. Your permit process proves you can deny it if it harms us. Why not stricter rules or higher fees, or at least higher safety standards? You're our elected voice, not staff's rubber stamp. Alpine's more than its government. It's clean air, quiet nights, real neighbors, not mini motels. Please deny this permit. Choose the people who make this town home over an absentee owner profiting off our misery. Thank you.
Thank you. City Secretary, are there any other public comments?
That concludes public comments.
Okay, we're moving into public hearings. Once again, if you're here to speak on one of the hearings, you'll need to come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to speak, state your name, your ward, and council, once again, will not be able to comment. Public hearing A, to obtain citizen views and comments. Oh, time, Secretary, is 5:37 p.m. Public hearing A, to obtain citizen views and comments regarding the second and final reading of ordinance 2025-04-02 and ordinance amending chapter 22, business to the Alpine Code of Ordinances establishing regulations and requirements regarding the sale of alcohol within the city and providing for specific zoning districts in which alcohol may be sold, providing the establishment of up to a $500 penalty per occurrence for violations of the ordinance, providing for the following findings of fact, enactment, repealer, penalty, savings, severability, proper notice and meeting, and effective date clauses. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Okay, seeing none, public hearing B, to obtain citizen views and comments regarding the second and final reading of ordinance 2025-04-04, an ordinance authorizing the vacation, abandonment, and sale of the unimproved portions of Saltillo Avenue, Monterey Avenue, Toluco Avenue, and Morelos Avenue, all situated within blocks 1 through 6, Colima addition to the city of Alpine, Brewster County, Texas, authorizing the city manager to execute a deed without warranty to the applicants Michael and Lynn McCarson, directing the funds of the sale of the city's interest be deposited in the general fund for the purpose of street improvements, providing for the terms and conditions such thereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Seeing none, public hearing C, regarding special use permit 2025-04-02, a special use permit allowing a short-term rental to be established at 405 West Avenue E. The applicants are David and Lori Oyer. The property owner of record is 405 West Avenue E LLC. The parcel ID of the subject property is 11881. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Seeing none, public hearing D regarding special use permit 2025-04-03, a special use permit allowing a short-term rental to be established at 403 West Holland Avenue, Unit A. The applicant is Little Torch Enterprises LLC, DBA Cozy Court, care of Heather Smith. The property owner of record is Little Torch Enterprises LLC. The parcel ID of the subject property is 11849. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Okay, seeing none, public hearing E regarding special use permit 2025-04-04. A special use permit allowing a short-term rental to be established at 100 West Murphy Street. The applicant is April McGamley. The property owner of record is 6012 Avenue T LLC. The parcel ID of the subject property is 32660. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Seeing none, public hearing F regarding special use permit 2025-04-05. A special use permit allowing a short-term rental to be established at 409 North Sixth Street. The applicant is April McGamley. The property owner of record is Jason Micheletti. The parcel ID of the subject property is 11993. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Okay, please come forward, state your name, your ward. You have 3 minutes. Council can't respond.
I'm Ward 5, I'm 401 North Sixth, but we're only here half time. But I think that's what it, anyway, we live across the creek from the said short-term rental. And I'm wondering what my recourse is for any noise, objections, and then also fire in their burn piles and things to that effect in their burn pits, which the other day there was a pretty good burn going on that was almost dangerous, and I thought this time of year is not the best time to be burning. But what's my recourse on something like that, and who should I call, if anybody? Complete.
Sir,
Thank you.
can you state your name for us?
Charles Struthers, 401 North Sixth.
Thank you. Council can't respond to your inquiry,
I see.
but if you want after the meeting, or if you want to leave your email, I can follow up with you.
You can do it. I'll meet with.
Chief of Police will meet with you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, public hearing G, public hearing regarding special use permit 2025-04-06, a special use permit allowing a short-term rental to be established at 601 North 8th Street. The applicant is Allison Davidson. The property owner of record is Allison Smith. The parcel ID of the subject property is 10459. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Okay, seeing none, I closed public hearings at 5:42. City Secretary. Okay, moving on to public presentations and proclamations. We have one presentation this evening, presentation of recognition to Johnny Marquez for his dedicated service as interim utility director from February 6, 2024 through April 1st, 2025. Johnny, come on up. Yes, seriously. Johnny, on behalf of the council and of our administrative staff, I want to thank you for your dedication and your service to the city of Alpine. And this is your certificate of appreciation. Thank you so much. So we don't have anyone here to receive the next proclamation. So I just want to announce that this week of April 20th through April 26th is going to be known as Administrative Professionals Week. And if I can have our travel and tourism employees come on up, Chris and Heather. Thank you so much. Thank you for being. Thank you so much. All right. So, whereas the travel industry fuels every industry and will continue to be an essential part of Alpine's economy, development, and workforce. And whereas travel is an economic powerhouse for every state and destination across the country, with an economic output of trillions, supporting millions of American jobs. And whereas travel spending supports vibrant and safe communities in Alpine and across the United States by generating billions in state and local tax revenue to support essential services such as education, emergency response, public safety, and more. And whereas travel enables success for all industries, including manufacturing, agriculture, defense, healthcare, and more, by driving sales growth, innovation, education, and operations that move our economy, our nation, and Alpine forward. And whereas the travel industry cannot recover without the full return of leisure, business, and international inbound travelers, increasing travel to and within the United States drives America forward to a more prosperous future. And whereas the travel industry's success will continue to grow Alpine's economy and workforce, and whereas travel is an essential industry, and we must continue to communicate that growing travel leads to economic growth, benefits businesses, and fosters mutual understanding. And now, therefore, I, Catherine Eames, Mayor of the City of Alpine, on behalf of the community, do hereby announce and proclaim to all citizens and set seal hereto that May 4th through May 10th, 2025 is National Travel and Tourism Week in the city of Alpine, Texas. And I urge the citizens of Alpine to join me in recognizing this critical role this industry plays in Alpine. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 15th day of April in the year 2025. All right, and another proclamation for Earth Month. Adelina, will you come on up, and any employees you have brought with you?
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Wonderful to see so many great employees here tonight. Okay, whereas nope, sorry, wrong one. Let's get it. All right, you go. All right, whereas we are reminded of the extraordinary importance of maintaining a clean and healthy environment. And whereas all people, regardless of race, gender, income, or geography, have a right to a healthy, sustainable environment with economic growth and opportunity. And whereas we are all caretakers of our planet and have an obligation to combat climate change and environmental degradation to preserve the Earth's beauty and resources. And whereas it is necessary to broaden and diversify this global movement to achieve maximum success. And whereas this marks the 7th anniversary of the Earth Day movement, let it be known that the city of Alpine, Texas encourages all businesses, institutions, and individuals to celebrate the Earth and commit to caring for the planet and its resources. Now, therefore, I, Catherine Eames, Mayor of the City of Alpine, Texas, on behalf of the community, do hereby recognize the month of April 2025 as Earth Month and encourage people in Alpine to combat environmental degradation, support green program initiatives, and to encourage others to undertake similar actions. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 15th day of April in the year 2025. In the middle. All right. Mhm. Thank you. I thank you guys. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, chief. All right, now we're moving into community interest items. City secretary, each individual will have 1 minute on the clock. Starting with mayor announcements, I want to remind those of you in Ward 1 that we have an election coming up. Early voting starts April 22nd. Election day is May 3rd, Saturday, May 3rd. We have a gym and mineral show this weekend here in the Civic Center. The Kiwanis have an Easter egg hunt on Saturday at 10 a.m. And April 25th through April 26th will be Spirits of the West here in Alpine. And also April 26th, Dark Sky celebrations will occur here in Alpine. So be on the lookout for that. All right, 1 minute on the clock, city manager.
The only thing I want to add is the Dark Sky Initiative, the celebrations, also include the Earth Day celebrations at the Visitor Center, so it's kind of an all-day event. So if you're not over at the Spirits of the West, make sure to head over to the Visitor Center, they'll have a lot of activities, not only for the kids, but for adults as well.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Stevens.
Thanks, Mayor. The only thing I've had is planning for the July 4th celebration that started for the city. So working on that, and we will be celebrating on Friday, July 4th.
Councilmember Escobedo. Councilmember Nance.
I just wanted to thank everybody that came out. A lot of community members came out, and Megan, Jessica Isley, for the housing symposium, affordable housing symposium. And the one thing I really learned from that event is that there are developers that want to develop here. There's a couple of regulations they would like to loosen up to kind of incentivize them to invest in Alpine as opposed to outside in the county where the regulations are a little looser. And those regulations force a bit of cost on the developers. So by working between safety on that side and the developers, that's where affordability lies, between the safety on our side and then building some homes. So just wanted to thank the community for coming out to that event.
Thank you. Thank you for being a host. All right.
And thank you to Alpine Community Projects. Almost
Yes, Kirsten Moody. She's a mover and a shaker. All right, Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to thank Councilmember Stevens for allowing us all to go and do some audio tests at the Ritchie on Saturday as well. I think it went great. It seems like we got a great actor there at the Ritchie, and I look forward to seeing more tests and things come from that. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. All right, moving on to changes to posted agenda. Are there any items to be continued or withdrawn? Okay, seeing none. Council, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion?
I would like to remove item D. Approval of the fiscal year investment. Report.
Okay, so item D,
Item E, please.
item E. Okay, so we're gonna remove items D and E. And we'll consider them under
Does
number
the-
9.
The hot, or I mean, a couple of the Airbnbs. Is that what?
E is an area.
Easy there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any action items to be added to the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none. Council, are there any time sensitive items? Okay, seeing none. There are no time sensitive items. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. City Secretary, we have removed items D and E for separate discussion under item 9.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's consent agenda now contains 8 items. Item A, approval of the April 1st, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Item B, approval of the March 2025 Office of the City Secretary report. Item C, approval of the second quarter fiscal year 2025 Office of the City Secretary report. Item F, approval of special use permit for 2025-04-03. Item G, approval of special use permit 2025-04-04. Item H, approval of special use permit 2025-04-05. Item I, approval of special use permit 2025-04-06. And item J, approval of payment of March 2025 monthly billing summary for Orchis Law Firm Services.
I need a motion.
Move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Let's vote.
Aye.
Aye. City Secretary, Council voted unanimously to approve the consent agenda as read with items D and E removed. for separate discussion. Councilmember Eva Martinez is away on city business. Okay, moving on to items removed from the consent agenda. We have item D removed by Councilmember Nance and item E removed by Councilmember Stevens. Councilmember Nance.
I just wanted to remove this to discuss one thing with Megan. Just wanted to say, I think Vicky put this together, great job by the graphs. We can actually see how much money's coming in and the declining interest rates. So we can see that we're losing them, not losing. We're not making as much money on interest rates over the last 4 to 5 months. Last thing I was gonna check in here too. One question for Megan is when we invest in these text pools and stuff, does it show what we're investing in as far as like equities or mutual funds or what this actually gets invested in to pull that 5% treasuries?
We keep with rules and procedure. Can you make the motion to approve so we can discuss?
Gotcha. I make a motion to approve, what do we do? The fiscal
Item
year.
D.
Item D, approval of fiscal year 2025-2026 second quarter investment report.
Second.
Okay,
So both of the investment pools, Texas Class and Techstar, are regulated by the state of Texas and what they invest in. So it's a combination of different things. So each one of these actually has their own portfolio that they invest all of the contributing members. So it could be anywhere from mutual funds, it could be commercial paper, it could be CDs. It's a little bit of everything. So they take all of the members who are part of this and invest it accordingly.
Perfect. And then the other question I had here was if you can explain the process to the public on how we transfer funds when our cash liquidity, I guess the cash flow, like what you would say, how much money we need on hand month by month. And then if the money is not involved in that monthly cash flow, where it's stored and if that could get invested.
So the city of Alpine does have the opportunity to invest what we have in our current checking accounts. The only reason why it hasn't been done is I've been the only investment officer and did not feel it would be appropriate for me to make decisions on my own and take it to council. So basically, we would find out what our operating costs are month to month. That can fluctuate between $300,000 to $750,000, really dependent on what's going on. Our heavy revenue months are always October, or I should say November through February, when we're bringing in property tax for the general fund. And then the summer months for the water utility, when we're bringing in the additional revenue from the increase in water usage. So once the established minimum requirement to keep to make sure we can cover obviously our expenditures for the month, the payrolls for the month. Anything left over ideally should be invested, whether it be into one of the pools that we're members of, which is Texas Class and Techstar, or if we wanted to invest it in rolling CDs. So CDs, it would obviously secure that money. We wouldn't be able to pull it out without being penalized. But we could start rolling it where we're getting that interest and then reinvesting it as we move along.
And the reason I wanted to pull this out of consent agenda is in this investment report, which is fascinating to read. You guys should really check this out. Just kidding. But the two things we actually have invested here in a quarter is 4.2 million. And what that ends up meaning to the city on the 4% I think that we pull is about $44,000. So any amount of money we can move from the banks into these investment accounts, if that's 1% interest extra or whatever else, we're squeezing every amount of interest we can out of the public's money to make a little bit more. So when at the scale of 4 million, which I have no idea how much we have in the banks, but everything it's not needed for immediate cash flow that could get invested, it would be great to have that on these accounts.
Okay.
That's everything.
any other discussion? Councilmember Stevens.
Just some feedback, Megan. The last column, I think the report's great. I'd probably get rid of the last column because it leaves the inference that the total we have is like $47 million, which is not the case. I think she just added an extra column on there. She might ask to take that column off because we got about $7.7
The
million.
book value versus the market value?
Texas Class under reserves, average monthly yield, page 50 of 329. The investment cumulative report. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I don't think that adds a whole lot of value. Am I missing something? Yeah, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
That's great.
Okay,
It's nice to see your report.
let's go ahead and vote on consent agenda item D, which was approval of fiscal year 2025-2026 second quarter investment report. City Secretary Council voted unanimously to approve the fiscal year 2025-2026 second quarter investment report. Councilmember Martinez is not here. All right, moving on to consent agenda item E, which is approval of special use permit 2025-04-02. Councilmember Stevens.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So I'll go and propose the motion, then we can have the discussion that we approve special use permit 2025-04-02 as presented.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, Councilmember Stevens.
Thanks very much. So the question I have was brought up was the sewer issue. And would the acting utilities director have any insight on what's going on with sewer, since Johnny bailed out here, and understand how big an issue is it? I know, having walked sewer lines with you here a couple of weeks ago down Sol Ross, you got those work, but I'm just trying to, what's going on with this property?
So I am not gonna tie it to a single property.
Yeah.
Those of you to kind of get a full understanding is, so the city has laid the pipes in the ground, so we have what we call the mains,
Yep.
which is the larger 8 to 12 foot mains that everyone runs into. So if you start at the very top and everyone's running down and everyone's putting stuff into the system, at some point, if it's not the correct material in the system, it's going to clog. Most recent, we've had the biggest issue with grease, wipes, paper towels. It all kind of combines and then gets stuck. This particular section, we did replace part of the sewer pipe to help try to get the clog unstuck. They did unfortunately hit a gas line when they were trying to make the repairs. They were out there multiple times, including this past weekend. So you can't narrow it down to a single house. It's just unfortunately a series of events with everyone who's tied to that line and putting all the material into the line, and it hits the bottom, and that's tends to where it gets stuck. Which we saw at Bill Ross the other direction. So clog coming both ways. So in order to unclog a sewer backup, we have different processes we take. Typically we go in with what we call the jetter, which is basically like a very high intense power washer that goes in and tries to unclog it with the force of water. We work it back and forth. We can go so many feet, typically about 500 feet, and then we back drag it back out to see if we can't force it through the system. We have actually, so Ross is helping us currently. We call it the Widowmaker. It's metal rods that we put into the system, and the metal rods go through and try to like scrape and then pull whatever it's out. Typically that the Widowmaker is where the paper towels and wipes and stuff will get stuck to it, and we actually can pull some of it out. We now have an attachment. We're noticing that we're getting a lot of those well-established trees are feeding into our sewer mains as well. So we now have an attachment that will go up and it tears up the roots. So because they're getting into the pipe itself, so we want to cut those out as well. We also have re-implemented our preventative maintenance where we drop acid into the sewer lines to try to eat everything that's coming up out. And then most recently, we've noticed that the grease intake has been unfortunately to the point where it's really a concern. So we're putting degreaser into our system as well. We can't combine the two together. Chemistry says not to. And I understand, you know, with different people coming in, hotels, restaurants, university, everyone's attacking the system in some way or another. So to narrow it down to a single house isn't really possible. It's just kind of, you know, we are a gravity fed system. So if you're on Sol Ross, coming from Sol Ross State University down, it comes down the main and then goes off north to the plant. And then coming from Sol Ross west to east, it's coming down, hits the main and goes off. So we have learned where the clog is, we go back a couple if possible to see if we can't try to alleviate it coming down again. It's really hard. Like I said, I can't pick a property and say they're the cause. We do try to narrow down if we're near a restaurant and there's a lot of grease, we will have the conversation with the restaurant. Please don't pour your grease down the sink or in your mop buckets or stuff like that.
Would it make sense, given we have people who use short-term rentals, no different than what goes on at the college? More things tend to go down the drain than most of us who live in the city would put down our drain.
You'd be surprised what goes down.
Oh, I know.
I'm amazed. I'm still trying to figure out how things get flushed.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have pulled out shoes,
Mhm.
jeans, inmate uniforms, a stuffed bunny, softballs. It really is interesting. So we're starting a PSA program, and we're collecting the pictures, real life pictures of what we have pulled out of our current system. We're not going to label them. We're not gonna say this is such and such area. But kind of to give everyone kind of the view. It was an eye opener last week being out there till 2 a.m.
Yep.
trying to unclog a sewer backup. That ultimately where the backup wasn't really the initial problem. The backup was almost 4 blocks down.
Wow.
And so it's having to address each section as we go along. And we just can't, like I said, can't just jump in and fix it. So we're gonna start a PSA program. We'll send it out to the short-term rental owners.
That'd be great.
To
That way
give them
most of the people
information.
come in. That way, hey, Dan, please help us out.
And I
Great.
understand that white be safe flushable, but they're really not, guys. I really want the public to understand they're not flushable. Especially when you have the grease in the system that we currently have, that all kind of ties together and then it just gets stuck. It's not that the pipes, yes, they are an older pipe system, but it's what's going in the system that's really hurting us. And then we're forcing all of that to our wastewater treatment plant that we're also trying to upgrade and maintain as well. So we're gonna have pictures from there. They have a bar screen that collects all of the larger items. This is how we find the clothes. It's really fascinating. I don't know how you get down the toilet. But we'll have those pictures to kind of show you that, if it even makes it through the system, this is where it's gonna end up and how it gets caught.
Good, thank you.
Megan, thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Nothing else.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, quick joke and then talk about it a little bit more, but it sounds like we're gonna have a little bit of a lost and find. Fine, maybe a sewer system.
That.
We could do that, but I might make a suggestion that I've seen this in other cities. That y'all make a flyer that's a simple half page or 1 page that says what not to put in there, and that could be great to not only send out to Airbnbs and say, hey, here, you could put this up in your bathroom or in your rule book. But also maybe for restrooms or other commercial businesses, that might be a good thing to make available to our businesses in the community. Also want to bring up just an email from a constituent regarding this particular property, who spoke here as well. There are a lot of things this council could bring up around STRs. Without getting to our topic, I just want to note that there are some places that we could have non-owner occupied STR rules or out of town rules, or how many you can have in the city and so forth. And so I look forward to seeing hopefully that discussion and some other rules coming out of this body in the future. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I had a couple things to add. One was just, these numbers are not scientific at all, but talking to Marathon, I think Marfa and Marathon both have more per capita STRs than Alpine. We're actually on the lower end. And then the one thing, I just shot an email over to Megan and Gio on this, just looking at the Brewster CAD overview of this. And there's an alley similar to the property, the family community center that we had, that the city owned an alley through the center of it. I don't know if that's just an issue on the CAD update, but when you look at this property, it looks like there's an alley going through that section. So that would just be something, I guess, for us to talk to the Brewster County Appraisal District and see if this has been updated on that end. So let's look at that,
It probably.
which would
That
need to be
never got-
fixed where we look at the land or whatever. Or sell the land, I guess, however that works.
No one kept up with that. That's a little,
Gotcha.
like the family crisis.
That's where I saw this. I was like, maybe that's that same issue. Well, we can reach out to Jake at the CAD and see first. For the most up-to-date information.
Okay, public comments are only allowed during the public comment section and public hearing section, as well as during discussion sections if a council member calls you up. Sorry. All right, Councilmember Escobedo. Okay, are we ready to vote?
Aye.
All right, City Secretary Council voted unanimously to approve consent agenda item, special use permit 2025-04-02. All right, moving on to reports and presentations, 6 minutes each for each report. First report was put on the agenda by City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we have an update from, I think she's still president of the Country Club Golf Course, Amy White.
Come on up, Amy, you have 6 minutes.
All the hogs.
Yay. Yay.
Okay, I kind of put I just sent a little something to you guys, as Megan had asked for something to be in the book when we start. First of all, thank you guys for being on the city council. The longer I'm on the golf board, the more I'm like, what am I doing sometimes, but I'm sure you guys think that sometimes too, but anyway. Thank you for the support of our country club. Once again, our goal is to have a family focused place with the rich tradition, which the longer I'm on the board, like I said, I'm getting to know more and more about how important the country club is to the city. Various activities. We started with a lot of graduation parties that are coming up in our ballroom. It's now coming into tournament season. We hosted the Alpine High School boys and girls golf tournament. This weekend we'll have the Lions Club tournament. We did have to reschedule the project graduation tournament for I believe it's May 3rd. So every weekend throughout the next 2 months, the country club is either booked with a party in the ballroom or a golf tournament or a party in the morning, golf tournament in the morning, party at night. So we're super busy over there right now. Tournament season, like I said. Course maintenance and improvement. The feral hogs problem seems to be under control, hopefully. We just did aeration of the greens this past weekend, so we were closed. We'll open up again on a Wednesday morning. That we had several members come out and help do that. Aeration, I guess you have to plug it, put sand on there and then kind of let it rest and let the sand rest. And the guys thought it would be best to close another full day for that. So we will reopen Wednesday morning for regular play. We are set to have our equipment maintenance again. So that's going to be another, we're kind of planning in our budget for the next years to come about $5,000 to $6,000 every summer we need to spend for the upkeep on the equipment that we use to bow, which is the blades and all that stuff, because apparently they have to be leveled out. I'm learning all kinds of stuff about this. Like, why can't we just sharpen the blades? Well, you can't, because they have to put something on there to level them. So we have that scheduled and we do have an estimate. So hopefully $5,000 is what we're looking at. Ballroom rentals membership drive. Right now we're having a special membership drive for no membership, I guess it's initiation fee through April, and we're going to extend it through May. So basically you come in, you used to say, I want my family to become a member. You'd pay your $100 initiation fee and then your $113 or how much ever family membership or single membership. We're cutting out that initiation fee for 2 months just to try to bring in some more memberships to the club. After the tournament season, we want to reevaluate our facilities plan and really start investing some more money into the club, the clubhouse and the surrounding buildings out there. I always said, I think I might have put this out there, that when I first got on the board a few years ago, my #1 goal was to get the swimming pool back going. So I've really kind of put out some feelers to people about getting some people in to give us a quote for the pool and tell us what's wrong with it. Because if it's something that is going to be way too much money to fix, we need to do something with that area besides where it is right now, because it's just looks like a jailhouse in there. You know, it's just cinder block and wrought iron, and it's a kind of an eyesore out there. So we either want to get to fixing it or do something with it. We invite you all to come out and experience the country club. We're working on it. And once again, thank you. I asked some of my fellow board members, what should I talk? Is there anything I can throw out there? I'm not going to throw it out there as I do all the time. Water, of course. If we get some rain, it's going to be a game changer out there. Because like I said, I've been on the board a few years. This time of year with no rain, I hear this all the time. We need water from the city. We need this, we need this. I get it now. What you guys are struggling with, because everybody's asking you, we need that water, we need the water. Now I'm like, everybody's asking for it. We just need some rain and then it turns around and it looks beautiful out there. So we need rain and, but I think it looks good out there with the amount of rain we haven't had. So our guys were really working hard out there, but thank you guys. And, if we are needing anything besides water, or we have been in contact with Megan for a few things, but, I feel like we
So
got,
We have a few minutes for council questions.
How are we doing on affluent water? Supplying as much as we can?
that's one of the things they asked me to ask for that, I guess, is there a limit that we're getting or? Is there a
There's
limit?
not a limit,
Okay.
it's availability. So when we have hiccups in the system, remember, we have one clarifier completely
Right.
down. So when we
Yeah.
have hiccups, we can't send it to.
Right, and the pants and the cats are clogging everything up.
So to that point, when will the second one be? I think it's current forecast.
Currently, I believe they're starting to get parts of it already being delivered to the wastewater treatment plant.
Good.
So we're getting pieces of the fabricated clarifier in. It's just now coordinating to get the main piece and then installing it. All the drying bits are done.
So, from a water standpoint, they had to look at what sort of time frame.
I'd like to visit with you and Richard and sit down and come up with a schedule.
Okay.
I know that sometimes communication is hard. They're not always in the office.
Right.
But if we could get a schedule with you so that you can tell us, hey, we're down, refill, because they can't constantly send it either.
Right,
I think we could probably do okay up until about maybe June. Hopefully by then the clarifier will
Yep.
will be up and running, and that would be a big relief on the plant.
if you just give me a call, I can bring our beeper up here or something, we can get together.
Any other questions, council?
I got a couple.
Okay.
I guess this is going back and forth, but did you, just to clarify, you're saying that the wastewater treatment plant is expected to be completed by June or end of June or?
Just that project.
Right.
I don't want to say the plant.
Yeah, but that would allow more of the gray water or whatever we call it, to go, affluent water to go back.
It should make it smoother.
Okay.
If we still have hiccups, then we legally can't provide.
Okay.
Okay, one more
And then-
question.
Sure, yeah, I got one more question. And so, I just wanted to bring up a thought pattern that I've been having. I've been talking with the library board a little bit about this as well. Our pool is, the city pool, obviously has issues
Right.
each year getting it reopened. It's expensive. You know, how long is that gonna last? We keep pushing it back by back, and I know y'all will have to go through the same issues no matter what. I've been speaking with the library a little bit about trying to use some of the funds that have already been raised as well as city allocated funds to be able to do a splash pad.
Mhm.
That might be a great location for that. Of course, we'd have to have it open to the public, but it could also increase your lunch, food service or drink service that
Right.
y'all do out there and stuff. So that might be something to think about and maybe just bring back to your board and or just sit on it for a bit as you can talk with this board as well. But,
Right.
yeah,
Good.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you guys for everything and we appreciate it and hopefully we can get some stuff started over there. We appreciate y'all's
Absolutely.
help.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, the next discussion item was also placed on by the city manager, 6 minutes allotted.
Thank you. The next update is from the Alpine Volunteer Fire Department from Chief James Etchison.
Hello.
Howdy. Good news. For the new truck, I was digging through it, found a flash drive with manuals.
Good deal.
Excellent.
So, I mean, we just still didn't stop us from going in there pressing buttons to see what happened, but we did, we,
Something float.
yeah, that's how we found out everything works. We're like, oh, sweet. Update on the truck, we were able to replace a leaky valve, which was part of the pressure tank. And we replaced the governor, the power cup governor that controls the whole air pressure thing. And we fixed that. Now we have access to our PTO. We can pump water and all that good stuff. So
Is everyone up to speed on the new truck?
Mhm.
I've heard a little about it.
Yeah, so let's give a little, so we're pretty close to the new truck because we went down and looked at it and showed up, but you might want to give a little bit.
man, it's like
What is this
6
truck?
minutes talking about the truck.
Because he talked about it at commission.
So the new truck was a truck that was given to us from a grant that we applied for through Texas A&M Forest Service. Usually the wait time is about 2 years. And I said, hey, what the heck, let's see what happens. So I threw the application in, and 9 months later, they sent me an email saying, hey, you want this truck? And I looked at it, I was like, all right, this truck is way too good to be true. So I talked to Judge about it, said, hey, can we go check this truck out? And he's like, well, let me call Rick. So called Rick, and a couple days later, we flew down to go check out the truck, and we both looked at this truck, and it used to be an old US Navy airport rescue firefighter truck. And the way that they used it was they would test foam. And every time they would test the foam, instead of getting it all mixed up in other foam, they'd rip out the tank, rip out all the pipes, and replace everything. So the last time they used this tank for foam use, they ripped everything out, put all brand new stuff in it. So it's basically a brand new truck. And
And it has a water cannon on it. And what's the pump rate?
1,500 gallons per minute.
Yeah, so it's out on water. It
So-
goes out a lot.
So if we hook it up to a hydrant, people's toilets will probably go down a little bit.
It'd be great to fight fires, bring it to things.
So this week, Thursday and Friday, I'll be headed to South Carolina to pick up the remaining parts for the truck. We got a really good deal from actually the manufacturer that built the very truck that we have in our garage. And so he's offered to give us a great deal on a new front cannon, piping to hook all the piping back up to the top cannon, and some ladder racks. So it was a really cool little deal that we got. And so saving $2,000 in shipping, I'm gonna drive 1,500 miles to go pick up the rest of the gear and bring it back for installation. So that's the new truck. If anybody wants to come see it, you're more than welcome. Come down and hang on it like a kid, like I did for the first couple of weeks that we had. So that's our truck.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's by 6 minutes. but-
No, the timer hasn't gone off.
Oh, okay, good.
But we can go to questions if you want to do that instead.
Well, yeah.
Okay, question.
Sure. I try not to be a broken record. Where are we on testing hydrants?
Once again, testing hydrants isn't
Yeah,
on us.
yes, fire related. Have we looked into more on testing fire hydrants in the city?
I don't think anyone has sat down and gotten together on it yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Can that happen?
Who needs to sit down?
Me and
It
John.
would be myself, Johnny, and the fire department.
Okay.
We have mapped out where all the fire hydrants are at,
That's good.
and we have that on what we're using through GIS called Eagle View.
Yeah.
So we have all that mapped out from south and north and south, plus all the way down to Terlingua and Marathon.
And then if you haven't caught the drift, I'm throwing out all these ideas. This is my last meeting. The point being is, I brought up a while ago and, I still think it's really relevant to especially the amount of grants that y'all are applying for and the city and county sharing responsibility, for the department that you're a part of, or running, excuse me. And, I think it'd be a really good idea to continue maybe this thought pattern of getting a grant department central for Alpine and the county. Right now, we're looking for a grants administrator. You know, the county has tons of ideas going around that as well. And perhaps putting those resources together could be a great place. You're about to say something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Michelle Reinhardt, Greg Kiddington, and myself have all talked about doing a joint position, where
Okay.
all three of us hire one individual.
Great.
It's been on the list. I know we brought it up a couple times. It's just moving forward. But yes, we've already started talking about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. I really appreciate that. And thank you for everything you've done. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just a quick question on GIS, the GIS that you guys have, is that shared with any other groups in the city or county?
Yeah, anybody that wants access to it can talk to Casey Maratari and you can get access to it.
Awesome, that you guys are moving into that way and
Yeah.
some cool information.
We're actually switching over from GIS to another program called Eagle View. And Eagle View, it's more updated. And the cool thing with Eagle View is if you want to, you can go back 7, 10, 12 years, 15, 20 years. And you can see the progress that somebody's has, you know, they built on their property. So it's a really cool little time lapse type of,
The same software, I think, that the Bruce County Appraisal District's using.
Yep.
They fly over with planes and actually get like topographic stuff.
Yep. And if anybody comes to the FEMA exercise tomorrow, Casey actually printed out some maps using Eagle View. So it's an
Good.
updated map for the mass casualty incident.
That was the only thing I had. Great job.
Councilmember Escobedo?
You're doing a great job. I'm just like,
I'm impressed, yes. Councilmember Stevens?
Nothing else, thanks.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, and moving on to discussion item C, 6 minutes, city manager.
The next one is an update from Emergent Air. I had received an email from a Vernon, Washington. I believe he's here. I've not met him. He is new. Are you gonna do the presentation?
I will.
Okay, good. You wanna just come up here to the podium? And then included in the packets was the information that Walter had provided in regards to the breakdown of calls.
Okay. Yes, so my name is Vernon Washington. I am the new base manager out here in Alpine. All questions have to go to Walter, our COO. If you need his email address, I have it here for you. But for the last 30 days, we've done 51 911 responses. We've moved 16 flights out of Big Bend. Like I said, Walter is the point of contact. Any questions that you have are going to be directed to him. We have dedicated air assets here Monday through Saturday, but we do respond out of El Paso, which is about 45 to 50 minutes away, depending on the winds. On Sundays, and we have 2 crews there on Sundays. We have 911 response here 24/7, 365, and that's it for my presentation today.
Okay, great.
All right. Cool. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Very nice to meet
And
you.
nice to see you again.
Thank you. Okay, great. And with that, since it's nearing 6:30, we're going to take a 5-minute break and then we will come back for information and discussion items. All right, City Secretary at 6:26 PM. We are ready to resume the meeting. Okay, City Secretary, it is 6:31 PM. This 5-minute break is over and we are resuming at this time. All right, moving on to information and discussion items. City Manager.
The first item for tonight is to discuss third-party management options for the utility department.
Okay,
So after the last meeting, council gave me permission to reach out to third parties. I reached out to Water Workforce, US Water, and SGR. SGR has a program to provide interim positions, whether it be utility directors, finance directors, city managers. US Waters is what the city utilized several years ago when we had kind of the same issue, without being able to fill the role. What they do is they provide a certified licensed operator to come in and help manage the department and ensure that projects get completed. I did not receive word back from Water Workforce, so I don't have an update on them. Chris Gutschow reached out from US Water and was gonna put something together. At this time, I have not received anything, but I have been in communication with them. I did provide city council with the information that SGR did provide us regarding candidates, actually. So I sent the resumes to them. I will say the one that I was most interested in had already taken a position. So I had to remove him, not that one.
Oh,
I sent out those resumes, and what they'll do is they allow us to set up interviews with them, kind of run down. I did provide them where we're at with our salary range based on our compensation study. I did follow up with additional questions in regards to overall costs. Is it remote? Are they gonna be located here? How would we manage housing? Would we put them in a hotel? He is working on a proposal. When I say he, his name is Wendell with SGR. They responded quite fast. It would be a contracted position as an interim professional. They did provide 3 candidates. I know in reviewing them, my only concern is finding someone that understands small towns that actually has served in the field. So if you looked at those resumes, one really stuck out more than the others. That was Mr. Harris. I'd like to go ahead and reach out and interview him, get his ideas, see if he's willing to come out to Alpine. Currently, waiting US Waters proposal to come back as well. Currently, we have made some changes within the department. We have restructured and implemented new procedures in hopes to manage the team and projects until such time that we can hire an interim.
all right. Comments, Councilmember Escobedo?
No, I'm reading right now.
Okay. Councilmember Nance?
When you said you gave them our salary range, what is our salary range in our study?
Give me 2 seconds to pull it up so I don't. The salary range is classified this position at 115, which is $71,025 and 60 cents minimum. Midpoint is $88,762.01, and the maximum for this position is $106,538.41.
71,000 to 106,000.
Yes.
And this gentleman, I didn't actually look up James Harris, but I did look up 2 of the other guys that they shot over. The salaries on that from Gov salaries, and one was like 128 and one was like 112. So at their last jobs, what is your expectation of the total cost and contract length?
I'm looking at the contract length being anywhere from 6 to 8 months. We're still, continuing to try to find a permanent position, director. We're utilizing various means to advertise. I'm almost down to pigeon carrier. We're looking at probably anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000.
Over the 6 months?
No, for 3 months. My biggest fear is the cost is gonna be the housing. What is it gonna cost to bring them in here? Because we've had to pay for that the last time as well. About 100,000 a month, depending on what it will cost with the hotels.
It will,
We probably could, or they could, and we could reimburse them if they can find a suitable house for rent.
Look at an STR deal.
There are options. I have been in contact with Wendell. His last name is Medford. And he's putting a draft proposal agreement together for us to review.
Nice. Councilmember Stevens?
No, I just covered everything. And thanks for your comments about Doug Harris. That was the only one I thought from SGR made sense, given his relatability to those few.
Yeah, so he served for, as a utility director
Yeah,
in
he's a
Paris,
cop.
Texas, which isn't a huge city.
Yep. Doug Harris.
Councilmember Stone?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Megan, first of all, I didn't want to like make questions to stick you, but the job is not on the city's website right now, so let's get that up there.
We are updating it.
Okay, cool.
We're trying to
Yeah.
we talked earlier about, we're trying to refocus and make the benefits stand out more
Yeah.
than the to-do, so we're
Okay.
redesigning
Okay,
the advertising.
that makes sense. Gotcha. And then just on that number, I appreciate Counselor Nance asking those questions and Counselor Stevens too. The idea of $100,000 a month, just that seems outrageous to me. And I saw some eyes pop up all over, you know. I guess, you know, we can of course look at STRs, look at doing a lower rate for, you know, a month by month or something like that, of course, as well. Is there any option here to be able to merely increase the salary in some way and say you find your housing on your own, or how do these typically work?
So my numbers are coming off of when we did this before.
Okay,
And so it wasn't, we actually, you know, we had the wastewater, the water operators come in, we had the housing, so I'm utilizing past data.
yeah,
Once we get the proposal, I think we'll get more realistic numbers of what it will cost. But yes, we could increase the salary saying, hey, you'll cover your housing, here are options for you to go look at.
yeah,
I think once we get the actual document in hand, it will give us kind of more understanding. I have not worked with SGR in this capacity before, so I don't know what their typical proposal will look like.
sure,
US Water came in very heavy because they were providing all of the certification, the housing, training, everything. So
yeah.
I'm utilizing the past data.
And so what other costs are there going into this salary? Because when I'm thinking, I'm like, you know, the salary's, what is it, somewhere around 10,000-12,000 a month. How does that jump from 12K a month up to,
Housing, per
$100,000?
diem,
yeah,
travel.
so per diem, all of these things go in. Are these negotiable?
I
Or,
believe so. I know with
Okay.
US Waters, we had some flexibility. We actually tried to find the hotel for them to stay at so that we had a better rate.
sure,
So like I said, once we get the proposal and kind of see what they're looking at,
yeah.
we'll have a better understanding.
I mean, I guess my idea for the council, I hope y'all will, you know, think about just paying this person 20K a month and just being like, find your own things and feed yourself, you know? I mean, $20,000 to come move here for 3 or 6 months a month is a lot of money. Shoot, I'd jump on that in a second. But you know, doing all these types of ideas that add up to 100K and obviously make this company a lot of money too, you know, they're gonna have to make something as well, obviously, but yeah. 25,000 sounds
I
more
don't
like a deal per month.
I don't know if there's a finder's
Yeah.
fee for SGR.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know
So-
either, and I'm sure there's other fees and costs there too, but I just couldn't imagine that that's a scandal waiting to happen right there. And I want y'all to be really mindful of those dollars and appreciate the time. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is back to that, if it was 100,000, I guess we'll get the plans, well, we'll be off the council and everything else like that, but just the, coming back to exactly what Reagan said, being mindful of the taxpayers' money, like that's a wild number, so I'm glad I don't have to vote on it to figure out. but-
Remember, I'm using historical when we had US Waters, so like I said, different group, different process, and US Waters may come back with something reasonable as well. So that's just what we did in the past.
Yeah, my experience in having seen a lot of people overseas, lived overseas myself in terms of remotely, I'm just looking at the numbers right now. Here's houses right now from an SDR standpoint. You know, and including per diem, talking $250 a night. Even with their cost, you're talking in the $7,500 a month. I don't see we're gonna end up with $100,000 per year. Yeah, you're not gonna get any vote out of me to support that. But I think there's enough options in Alpine.
All right, moving on to discussion item B, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is to discuss the next steps with initiating a pilot program for AMI water meters through Premier Waterworks. So this has been a discussion item. It's been part of the presentations. I know we've had the engineers coming in. What I've done is when we went to the TML conference in October, we reached out to multiple vendors in regards to smart meters, kind of getting an idea of what's available and what's out there. Several of them reached back. One in particular was Master Meter. We currently have master meters for our water meters. About 85–90% of our meters are that brand. They work with Premier Waterworks, which is actually a company that we work through as well for a lot of our operational needs. So when speaking with Master Meters, they said that they could do a propagation study for free. Keyword free. So we provided them with the information in regards to all of our accounts. They put together a propagation study to see how the smart meters would work within the city. We want to make sure communication is available throughout the whole entire city. We do have a couple meter locations that would still have to be manually read just because of where they're located, the Sunny Glen area. So they came back and we've been discussing it with them. I asked them, you know, hey, can we do a demo or a trial period? The city did this once before in 2017. We purchased 50 smart meters, put them in the ground and basically walked away. And it worked for a little while. I mean, it was great. But then as the meters, people forgot, hey, I've got a smart meter, it's not working. Is it registering? No one has access to the software anymore. So in talking with both Master Meter and Premier Waterworks, we can kind of set our concerns. Like we want to do a pilot program, but we wanted to make sure it's efficient and how is this going to work in the long run. What I've provided with you today is their trial run costs. The last one had the same type of cost. What you'll see is that they do a defer as well. So we're looking at roughly $27,797 plus the cost of meter. And that's for them to bring in the base station for communication. That's the cost of them to be able to connect to our current software, which is Assist. I did discuss with them the fact that we did approve a new software, CUSI, and they are already aware and compatible with that software as well. It does provide access to their online portal. So they use a company or software called Harmony that basically those who have the smart meter could get into and be able to see their water usage and see the spikes and the flow and that kind of information. Our new software for utility billing will also have a portal which they will connect to if we decide to go for a full-blown program that allows the resident not only to connect to the billing side of it, but then they would just click another link and it would take them to their usage side so they get to see. Part of that, they also get the ability to go in and set alerts. So say I'm going out of town and I shouldn't have any water usage. I'm going to set an alert that if anything registers above a certain amount, it will send me a message to kind of give them the idea of a pipe breaks or if there's a leak or, you know, God forbid someone's borrowing your hose outside. The idea of the pilot program is every council member will receive a smart meter and then we will add a few within each of those locations since there's the different wards and a couple commercial so that we can get a full understanding of the program. They would come in and actually install the smart meters and get us set up. They put in the base station, which of course is all the communication side, and then help us connect to the software. And then get you guys the ability to connect to the portal. So as council members, you would be able to see what's going on with your water usage. The other benefit of this, and I did ask the staff, they are very overworked right now. You know, this would cut back on the amount of time the employees are having to read meters. We do make human error. We're not perfect. But it would give them the opportunity to stop having to focus on I gotta get my routes, and I gotta get my routes done to, hey, we're gonna start replacing whole lines as they're paving. As we have a leak, we're not fixing the temporary, we're fixing the long run because they wouldn't be so rushed to try to get their routes read. In addition to all of the other sewer backups and issues that they address. I am looking forward to it. kind of get an idea of what it will look like. Having all of the different council members, getting your feedback, and then implementing the project moving forward. I understand that this is a large cost. That is not a meter replacement program. We're not replacing meters. It's an actual device that's attached to the current meters. Now, as they're going through and if we decide to implement this program, we will start to get notes on, hey, you should replace this meter. Or, hey, we broke the meter trying to put smart meter on it. But the idea is to bring in a third party so that we're not trying to, once again, overstaff or overwork our team. And then have someone who can show us how to do it properly. I wanted to bring this up to council so that you can kind of see the direction. We've been talking about it. It is really exciting. I think this is a really good investment in the long run. It will definitely help with our water, our meter readings. It will provide the residents that accessibility and bring back that public trust because they'll get to see what we're trying to show them.
Okay, so you said it's $27,797. How many is that for?
That's just the base station, the software, the operational side, plus the cost of meters, and each meter is roughly $335.
That's the little attachment they're adding to it?
That's to attach.
335, you said.
So roughly $1 million for the
For the whole
2,500
city.
for the whole system.
So we're gonna just pick a handful to test. So last time we did 50. So we're gonna try to pick about 5 or 10 for each ward. And then the commercial ones, those meters are larger, so those will be at a greater expense. The 335 is basically what we call a residential 3/4 inch meter.
Okay, Councilmember Stevens.
So how's it work? So you said doesn't replace the meter, but it's in line, so it's doing some measurement.
So it connects to the meter. And then as the meter, of course, is reading, it's taking that data and it's gonna send it to the base station and then it will connect to our software, which is one of the interface
Yeah.
fees. And it will provide, depending on how we have it set up, it can provide real-time data.
Yeah, so, how can we go see one of these things, or where can we go to see what it looks like? I'm just curious technically about how it works, because we're gonna get a design different questions.
So I think once we move forward with the project, we can do like a little demo with the council and have them come in here before they actually go to your house and install it.
Good.
And as I said, it's just an attachment. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, okay.
When you say base station, what does that look like?
So base station is gonna be, I wanna say a computer, it's a repeater antennas, thank you,
Okay,
that we would put up.
Councilmember Escobedo?
Well, I'm a lot more relaxed now that it's attached to that replacing them. I was like,
Okay. Yeah. Councilmember Nance?
I did have a bunch of questions. First off, so it's master meter, 85 to 90% of those. Premier Waterworks. So master meter is the hardware maker.
Yes,
Premier Waterworks is a service provider.
yes,
Premier Waterworks, is that the group out of Lubbock? You said you're happy with the support they give you right now.
yes.
Okay. Sunny Glen. So why does Sunny Glen not work? There's no cellular service?
It's only certain ones. It's just the connection to it. So some of them unfortunately are tucked back further in and so it just doesn't feed
Yeah, my sister lives out there, no cellular service.
So those will be manually read or Bluetooth drive-by?
manually read. As of right now, we can design the plan once we kind of get better feedback.
Gotcha.
So if I might interrupt though, yours good point. Can it be tied to Wi-Fi,
Those are good
Because
questions.
House Wi-Fi?
house Wi-Fi, and then zip back in?
We can ask.
Okay. Sorry.
That's good.
Uh-huh.
I was looking for it in here and I can't, oh, there we go. So Premier Waterworks meter systems, AMI and AMR. We had Odessa, Lubbock, Andrews, Monahan. Are they all on the Premier Waterworks? Are they using master meter? Do we know that? Or is this is from their service providing side that they're saying they work with these cities? They don't necessarily, I wonder if these are actually using the master meters.
So it'd be a combination. So Premier is so we order our master meters through Premier. So they're the vendor that supplies as I guess like a wholesaler. But I know when speaking with Ron, they work with what we have. So if any of these cities had a combination of, they're working with those.
So page 142 here, this list of the AMI and the AMR systems on 142. Can we verify with them if we don't know that they are using the master meter hardware?
So Odessa is using Master.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Because that leads into my next two questions. Have we reached out for references from any of these people to see what they think of them?
So Odessa is the one who provided me the initial input, the mayor at the time and one of their council members. I have spoken with Andrews. And they're utilizing them and none of them have been upset. I mean, residents tend to get upset. But as far as like the actual program.
And residents get upset because they may have had an old meter and now it's more throughput. Okay, so it's not a problem with the hardware or the software side. Okay. And does anybody in the Tri-County area use AMI or AMR yet,
I believe
or Fort Stockton?
Fort Stockton, I believe Sanderson.
Really?
I think they've switched.
So we are kind of ahead of the curve if this moves forward. Yeah, Mr. Stevens said about 2,500 units at 335, so we're looking at about 830,000 a meal, depending on the commercial stuff. And you're saying, how would that be funded? So we're trying a pilot right now. How does that scale out? Is it a one lump project where we come in and replace everything and pay somebody, or does it scale out slowly?
It could be both ways. We could do it as a one lump, get someone in and take the whole city at one time. We can phase it out with different wards, different meters. We do residential, then commercial. Ideally, we would look at probably doing a certificate of obligation. This program also does fall under the leased equipment program as well, if we want to go that route. There's different options. I figured first we want to kind of get the council's eyes on what the program actually would look like, because ultimately you'd be making the decision, but you could get to see how it works, the feel for it. Is it something we want to, to actually start to implement?
Okay. Because I do like that we're investing in the people so that, give the city workers good tools. Length before replacement. Did they tell us this of 10+ years is what they think?
I can't remember, but I think it'd be 10 years.
I remember thinking, how long is this sustainable before we have to go ask for another million to come back in and,
Batteries go for 10 years.
I didn't,
One-
that's
Yeah.
good.
I think, once we get the program, if we move forward with the full project, and I know that we've been working on other aspects of the meters, like, putting an actual program in place. Whereas maybe as we're replacing meters, we go ahead and address this as well, so that it kind of isn't we get hit every so many years with one big payment, we face it.
That makes sense. And one more, if we, what is the units that are going to be going to council? They're not cellular, are they drive-by?
They are the AMI.
I wonder
It's
how,
that sends the information to.
it's going to be proprietary wireless or something, so they're gonna put the base station somewhere in the city, and then they're gonna communicate wirelessly up to that base station.
Yes, and they are going out for the FCC application, so it is gonna have its own.
Wireless
Yeah.
frequency. And then saying that, did they list how many base stations we're gonna have? Because a large part of this, 28,000 upfront, but 84,000 over 60 days. How many base stations did they say how many we're gonna need?
All together, I believe we'll need 30.
3, okay. So we don't know a full cost of project, but we know probably around a mil or 900 to 1.2 or something.
And it's also knowing the cost of the meters themselves, the devices. Like I said, they're gonna vary in cost depending on the size of the actual meter.
That was everything.
Councilmember Stone?
Thank you, Mayor. What happened to the Fort Davis pilot project?
So that's
Yeah.
gas.
Oh, that's gas.
And so they
Gas,
wanted,
water,
so
geez.
they wanted smart meters,
Uh-huh.
and we looked at the RFPs. But I've actually, Premier will do a propagation study as well, so
Yeah.
we're moving that.
I'm not trying to get off topic. I just connecting two things in my head that aren't connected. I'm gonna add a lot of the same questions and kind of build off of. Just looking at the budget, we budgeted 150K for this project this year and taking off, that 28K or so that was the, just, the immediate due, I guess, setting up all the installation and everything. You know, at 335 a meter, that means we budgeted for up to 364 meters. I don't think we do exactly that number because we might go over the budget. But we got room to be able to, you know, be able to do quite a few more meters than just 50 perhaps. Which leads me back to my main point is perhaps this should be more thinking about, you know, as we're ripping up roads or other places. Couldn't imagine putting 50 out and the amount of people that get mad about water, and that 10% of those people are the council members that get the new thing. I just, you know, I think we ought to really think about making sure that we either give more out to the community, or rather think about the council members aren't necessarily first in line for this. That just messes with my head a little bit in that way. Yeah.
So related to that.
Yeah.
The worry is that the water bills are gonna go
Up
because
extremely.
of more accurate reading. And if we want to get people pissed off, it ought to be us. who
Yeah.
Bear the brunt,
And-
as opposed to the 50 people you'd say, oh, go ahead and do it better, because then like say, my water bill was went up 1.5.
Yeah, and I can understand that. Is that the actual case? Like what I wrote down here to get this correct? Is it more accurate readings or is it just automatic? That's what I'm wondering, because the meter isn't changing, right?
That's why.
So-
So the biggest complaint has been that the reads aren't being done correctly.
Sure.
So numbers get transposed, since I've taken over since October.
Yeah,
1st.
6 becomes a 3 and a 3
Yes,
becomes a
so,
6.
and
Yeah.
that's happened quite a lot.
Uh-huh.
And so we're tripling our workload. The meter number gets transposed, it doesn't get written correctly, then it goes out for a reread. And then it may or may not get corrected, and then the resident's still upset, so then we're doing another work order to get a special read to see if it's correct and getting pictures. Ideally, this would give the resident that access.
Yeah.
It also helps with understanding, you know, it's hard when we're trying to say, well, you have a water leak or your meter's spinning or you're using the water.
Sure.
This would give them that access.
So it
And-
is just automatic. It's not necessarily more accurate reads. I mean,
Except-
it's more accurate in saying that there's not human
Yeah.
error, but it's just automatic.
Yeah, so you raise,
Yeah.
you raise a
Yeah.
really important point. Because if it is just more accurate as opposed to higher water because we've replaced the meter.
Yeah.
Then your argument, I think, makes sense.
Yeah.
It says, get more out.
Yeah, get more out to folks and I think getting council members on board and be able to talk to their neighbors that get them, that makes sense. But you know, you might want to do 100 or 200, and we've already allocated the funds to be able to work on this project.
So don't forget that's
Yeah.
also meter replacement. So
Sure.
it's not just putting the smart meters.
Okay,
that's
so that's,
actual trying to
that fund
replace,
is
yes.
for a lot more
Yes.
other things. It's not just for this pet project.
And I'm gonna
Gotcha.
correct myself, it's 1 base station and 5 repeaters.
Oh,
So they're gonna have little things bouncing.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that's going on top of the hill or something, you know,
Various
something like it.
locations around.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
The last thing I kind of, you know, just want to make sure to hone in is, is the company gonna have to come each time that we're installing these, or is this gonna be something that the team can do here?
So we wanna reduce their workload,
Yeah.
to get them back on track.
Yeah.
So the initial project will have a company come here and install them
Sure.
and show the team
Team.
how to do it.
Okay.
And then once the project's initiated, the team would take over.
Yeah, and that was just the concern, I guess, going back, if we do 50, you know, that can probably be done, I don't know, in a week or whatever, I'm throwing out numbers. But if we did 100 or 200, and it sounds like we might not be able to do that now that there's money in different pots and so forth. The idea of us doing it as we rip up the streets, we want to make sure that they know how to do it, because you don't want to leave a street undone for weeks and weeks waiting for a company to come from Lubbock or wherever else. So I think there's just a lot of thought and planning, and I know you're going to put the effort behind all that, but I'm just bringing up some things hopefully to put in your mind on that. But thank you, Mary.
thank you.
And one more, just a follow-up question. One other thing about like the zipper, when the street team came in and trained and learned from it when the company was out here. The other one was, we don't know, how old are our current meters? 0 to how long? 10 years, 15 years, 15? And we don't really know because we replace them as they fail, right?
Yes.
So when we're talking about the throughput of those and the efficacy of actually flowing water through those actual meters, we don't really know, and the end user doesn't know if they have a 15-year-old meter or a 2-year-old meter, or how accurate that meter is. So kind of we're scattershot, you know, to even when we come in and say, we're choosing 50 people out here. We don't know if we're replacing a meter that's not reading very well or not. I guess we'll learn, because if you have two houses that are, you know, families, they should in theory use a relatively similar amount of water. That was our only comment.
All right, moving on to action items. Action item A, city manager.
Action item A is to approve the second and final reading of ordinance 2025-04-02, an ordinance amending chapter 22, business to the Alpine Code of Ordinances, establishing regulations and requirements regarding the sale of alcohol within the city and providing for specific zoning districts in which alcohol may be sold, providing the establishment of up to 500 penalty per occurrence for violations of the ordinance, providing for the following findings of fact, enactment, repealer, penalty, saving, severability, proper notice and meeting and effective date clauses.
Any motion?
Approve the second and final reading of ordinance 2024-04-02 as presented.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion, city manager.
So the first reading did go before council at the last meeting, and there was a couple updates that were made at the council's request. You'll notice that we did address the festivals. Under section 22-123, temporary permits for festivals and similar activities that are approved by the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission are excluded from the requirements of this chapter. Part of the discussion was the different festivals, the picnic type licensing that's been included. There is the section on commercial areas next to residential. Permits must be approved by special use permit. That is under section 22-126, the sale of alcohol on properties in C2 business district that directly abut a residential district is not authorized unless approved through the special use permit process. And then we did notice, Geo caught this at 22-129. It had the same type of language as 22-128. Sell prohibited in curb service restaurants. Actually 22-129 should have read sell prohibited in certain areas.
Yeah, that's where I got confused.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so those were taken into consideration and updated. Council was provided a copy for additional review, and now it's up for the second and final reading.
Okay. Councilmember Stone,
Thank you for all the corrections. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Nance,
No problem.
Councilmember Escobedo, Councilmember Stevens.
So I have just a question. Is the county property covered by this for the county courthouse?
I
would guess not. Government entity, it would just be like City Hall.
No, so I just,
So it'd be a festival and it would be the picnic license through TABC.
okay, so it does apply, but our ordinance covers that. Okay. It came up yesterday, who has authority over alcohol relative to the
On the-
special?
I don't think the city has, you're saying if somebody brings a beer, it sits on the county courthouse and drinks a beer. The
Uh-huh.
county, well, that's what I was thinking.
No,
I'm
because-
going to do that later,
No,
but,
Just
Yeah.
in terms of, because our rules apply and it's really dealing with our public property and parks and things like that.
yeah.
And that's not a public park, so having an open container is not an issue. Okay, very good. I just wanna make sure, because it came up yesterday on the 4th of July, picnic planning discussion.
This has nothing to do with consumption, in my view, for the most part. That's what I'm seeing. I don't want to open it up, you know.
No, I got it. Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's vote.
Aye.
Aye.
I,
City Secretary Council unanimously approved the second and final reading of ordinance 2025-04-02. Moving on to action item B, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Action item B is to approve the second and final reading of ordinance 2025-04-04. An ordinance authorizing the vacation, abandonment, and sale of the unimproved portions of Saltillo Avenue, Monterey Avenue, Toluco Avenue, and Morelos Avenue, all situated within blocks 1 through 6, Colma addition to the city of Alpine, Brewster County, Texas. Authorizing the city manager to execute a deed without warranty to the applicants Michael and Lynn McCarson. Directing that the funds from the sale of the city's interest be deposited in the general fund for the purpose of street improvements, providing for terms and conditions of such thereof, providing a severability clause, providing for an effective date.
Okay, I need a motion.
Mayor, I move we approve the second and final reading of ordinance 2025-04-04 as presented.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Hey, city manager discussion.
This is the second and final reading. This conversation started back in 2024 when Mr. McPherson came before city council requesting to purchase all of the blocks within the property he owns in order to replat. After discussion, city council requested that the portion of Avenue C be left as an ingress egress route for the area. Administration did update and recalculate the appraised fair market value, removing the Avenue C portion, adjusting it from $30,000 to $27,587.20. This has been brought to Mr. McCarson's attention, and he is in agreement to move forward and council approves.
Councilmember Escobedo,
I'm good with it.
Councilmember Stevens.
Good.
Councilmember Stone.
Good.
Councilmember Nance.
Good.
Let's vote.
Aye.
City Secretary, council unanimously approved the second and final reading of ordinance 2025-04-04. Okay, moving on to action item C, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Action item C is to approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-0501. An ordinance amending chapter 74 Parks and Recreation, Article 2 Municipal Swimming Pool to the Alpine Code of Ordinances, amending rules and regulations for the city pool.
I need a motion.
I move we approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-05-01 as presented.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The Parks and Recreation Board has been working on updating their ordinances as well as other items that were tasked to them. They were tasked with updating the pool. In review with the board, they found that there were several things that could be updated, including the children under 13 must be accompanied by a reasonable adult. It's the prohibition of vaping and tobacco use in regards to the no smoking. They updated the glass or the containers drinking to glass drink containers. And then, of course, they designated the pool administrator and admission charges, some basic clerical updates. The Parks Board did approve the recommendations to move forward with council. We did discuss it at the last meeting and it's set for the first reading this week.
Okay. Councilmember Stone.
No, I don't think I have anything on this right now. I'm a little bit still interested to see if any thought has been behind the how we ID someone by letting them into the pool. Do we have any thought on that?
City manager.
I know in the last conversation and what we were gonna work with the lifeguards is school ID for the time being.
Okay, so like a middle school ID. We have a bunch of private schoolers.
Those
that-
don't exist.
They don't have, yeah, they don't have middle school IDs.
Middle school IDs don't exist.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll put it up to the second reading for y'all to figure that out, but you know, just want y'all to notice that, you know, there's short kids, there's these are 17, 18-year-olds as lifeguards, there's bullying exists. And I know as a teacher before, this is something that's big on a lot of school and educators' minds. We don't want to set up something that doesn't have a system in place. So I hope y'all will figure that out.
Okay. Councilmember Nance.
And that's a good question, because if it's PG-13, I don't know how, they're not gonna have IDs either. So
That's true.
the concept is, and I was gonna say, I appreciate Mr. Austin, Mr. Smith's comments, because that's important to come to these meetings, and that's how all this stuff happens, is about people providing their feedback. One thing I was gonna say when you were speaking, 8 to 9-year-olds is about 3rd to 4th grade, I was looking up, and 13 is 7th to 8th grade. So I think chronologically, we can kind of think of what a 7th to 8th grader, how mature they are, and a 3rd, 4th grader is. I'm for go ahead and approving this. And then if it is onerous on the system, or, you know, if there's other issues that come back, it can always be amended at a later date. That was the only comments I had.
Councilmember Escobedo.
I mean, I remember going to the swimming pool and my mom getting down with us and, you know, but we weren't left alone if we were younger than 12. I mean, what? There shouldn't be babysitters. There's no reason for that.
Councilmember Stevens.
So I have mixed views because I remember as a kid being pretty well free to go do what I wanted to go do. Hop on a bicycle and streetlights come on, get you rear at home, or you didn't get dinner. That's kind of the rules in our family. And I know, some have similar issues or similar perspectives. I am sensitive to the 13-year-old for two reasons. One, you want to be able to have someone that's responsible, and the lifeguards be able to talk to some. And I will also tell you, I've talked to fortunately, some third and fourth graders who have been out at football games at Buck Stadium, and the kids are giving lip back as opposed to, I hear you, you're an adult. This is a huge cultural change, is my worry. So I agree with Austin's perspective. I just worry that the culture has changed. So or Darren is, I'm inclined to say leave it as is. Because I just wish the kids would behave better, and putting that on a 16 to 18-year-old. If as an adult, and I actually walked over and talked to a police officer, and the police officer says, I can't do anything relative to what this kid was doing. So that's my worry. It's not the larger group, it's the smaller group and the minority. And I would just hate to see our lifeguards put in a precarious position. Anyway, so that's where my inclination is. I'm sensitive to that, but I also worry about our lifeguards, and they're trying to keep everyone safe. And to get pulled out of a position to have to go have an issue created by a 9-year-old, unfortunately, I think would create a safety issue for the others. So that's my feeling. I'm supportive of it, but I wish I didn't have to be from an age standpoint.
Let's vote.
One more question, and I think Darren might as well. I don't know, you were raising
I
your
was.
hands. Where did this come, like, did you hear issues from lifeguards having this problem of babysitting or having unruly 7-year-olds, or I'm just wondering?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
okay,
the past couple of years, kids are dropped off.
sure.
And then they're left and
Parents gotta go to work and you get the kid at the pool for the day. Yeah, I got it.
and they can misbehave, but it's just not having the guardian or the adult say, hey, you need to handle this, or hey, maybe we need to call his parents. And I understand the mechanisms, like how do we monitor it? Right now it's the honor system.
Yeah.
And so I think over the next year, the pool is planned to be open this year. We kind of see how it works and get additional feedback. But it is hard, especially as a teenager trying to monitor someone who, may
Yeah.
be
Well,
close to your age.
I'm sitting in shoes, and I'll be done, I promise, right after this, but I'm sitting in shoes of Reagan as a 12-year-old, whether it's today or back then, and I'm thinking, if all my friends that are 13 already, because I was also in this situation, I had a late May birthday, right? And all my friends are already 13 and I'm 12. I got to go live to be able to get into the pool. And that's not a great thing to set up kids to have to do either. So that's why I'm just really thinking that there needs to be a system of some way of noting who can be there or not. Honestly, my head's turning towards getting parents to be able to sign a waiver for them or something like that. I know that would be a whole system to set up, but
But not
Yeah.
really, now that
Yeah.
you mention it, so when I first moved here, Wrongborough Theater had it where if you brought a signed, you could go to a PG-13 movie
Yeah.
with your parents'
Yeah.
permission.
Uh-huh.
And then just thinking about the process moving forward, we do get a lot of pool passes where families will buy for the whole, family. And we can write on the pool passes, minor, adult, so that there's a little bit of distinguishment.
Yeah.
I think there are processes we can put in place. But currently.
especially when they're dropping them off, right? And that gets you a contact number for when they are unruly. And if there are so many problems like that, then their parents are going to be signing a piece of paper right there. They're going to tell them you behave right there, at least most parents, I'm sure. And if they're not even telling them that, there's a number right there you can call when that kiddo does something wrong or they ain't supposed to be there. I don't know what else.
And we can come up with the waiver.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not something hard where it's, 13 with a guardian.
Yeah.
We
Again, it's
can put
pushing
stuff in
paper,
place.
but you got lifeguards that are making, hopefully $15 an hour now. So, yeah, I don't know, there's something here, but we'll leave it to next meeting for y'all to clean it up.
Yeah, as an educator, I would say 8, 9-year-olds at the pool by themselves. No. No. 13-year-old, kind of iffy. If it were up to me, it'd be 15 or older.
Other
Yeah,
lifeguards.
you know, I mean, yeah, just shy of lifeguard age. Yeah, so 25 years, middle school and high school educator.
So what I think I heard, Megan, you're gonna put in a system to kind of monitor this, so we've got information when kids are showing up.
Yes, we're gonna put something in place, and that way, if we do need to come back in a year or two and change it, we can.
Yeah.
I think it's just ideally, a lot of parents do drop them off, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's the pool, kids wanna have fun, I gotta go to work, something else comes on. It's just that we're trying to put that balance in place between, you know, the lifeguard, the parent, and the child.
Councilmember Nance.
Last thing I was gonna say is just, this reminds me of alcohol in the park, where the difference between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. Like the letter of the law, you can't drink in the park. We all know it happens.
Yep.
And the
It's
law,
allowed with the koozie.
and that just provides, you know, the police department the ability, if they see it and someone's being belligerent, to remove them out. So same thing like this. We know kids under 13 are probably gonna be in there, and this provides the mechanism to remove them. Yeah, sure.
All right, let's vote.
Aye.
City Secretary Council unanimously approved ordinance 2025-05-01. Moving on to action item D, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Action item D is to approve the first read of ordinance 2025-05-02. An ordinance authorizing the vacation abandonment and sale of 0.046 acres out of South Fifth Street right of way, platted as part of Ferguson second addition to the city of Alpine, envelope 96, plat records of Brewster County, Texas. Authorizing the city manager to execute a deed without warranty to the applicant, Horticultural Consulting LLC, directing that funds from the sale of the city's interest be deposited in the general fund for the purpose of street improvements, providing for terms and conditions of such thereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date.
Motion, please.
Move we approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-05-02 as presented.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion, City Manager.
Thank you. So back in 2024, Ms. Kara Coates came before the city to purchase a larger section of this property. Upon initial review, it was determined that there were several utility lines within the section that they were requesting. At the time, interim utility director Johnny Marcus and myself did go out to meet with her husband in regard to the property, walk it, kind of discuss where the lines are at, water, sewer, that kind of thing. They did agree that they would reduce the section that they are wanting to purchase, leaving the utility side open for easy access, reducing it to the 0.046 acres. They do own the property on both sides. We did have this for a discussion item before moving forward with the ordinance to get the city council's feedback and understanding, not to waste Ms. Coates' time. She did get it resurveyed and appraised with the value of $4,900.
Okay, Councilmember Stevens.
Good.
Councilmember Escobedo,
Good with it too.
Councilmember Nance,
No comments.
Councilmember Stone.
Looks fine.
Okay, let's vote.
Aye.
City Secretary, Council approved the first reading of ordinance 2025-05-02 unanimously. Please remember Councilmember Martinez is off on city business. Okay, action item E, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Action item needs to approve resolution 2025-04-11, a resolution adopting the swimming pool fee schedule for the fiscal year 2025 for the Alpine Municipal Swimming Pool.
Motion, please.
We approve resolution 2025-04-11 as presented.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Discussion, City Manager.
Thank you. It's set up that annually you guys approve the fees that are associated with the pool. We are tentatively set to open Memorial Weekend, which is May 24th, 25th, 26th, that time period. With the pool tentative closing date being August 2nd. We did not increase the admission for children or adults or any of the season passes. And we also left the pool parties the same. It's tentatively set to open at 11 a.m. Monday through Friday for lap swimming, 12 to 5 for general admission, from 5 to 6 for water aerobics, and 6 to 8 for pool parties.
City Manager, are we going to be able to break even with the current fees?
We will find out this year. In light of the changes in the pay, which will get approved at the next city council meeting, we may be a little under. But we wanted to see how it is. They've already started preparing the poll, so we're not gonna have those huge expenses, like we've had in the past. I say we'll probably be a little under, but we'll see this year for sure.
Okay, Councilmember Nance.
Only comment I had is, Gio, why is this a resolution instead of in a schedule of fees? This is a schedule of fees, but like, are we gonna end up moving, you had told me a long time ago that it would be good to move most things that come to council into a uniform schedule of fees that council approves once.
We are working on passing that with the last ordinance that was considered on the municipal pool, right? It was in there.
So the way the fee schedule currently has is there's other departments that fall under this. Until we get it fully structured, we wanted to move forward, so we're not delaying any of the fees.
Okay, so next year this may be under a schedule of fee.
It
with
would be a
everything else.
schedule of fees with all of them.
Beautiful. And was there any increase in price from last year? Or is this all the
No.
same? Okay, how's it?
All right, Councilmember Escobedo.
Okay.
Councilmember Stone.
Just working off of what you said, Mayor, where did we balance last year as far as revenue from the pool? Do you have that? Just
So we
to-
broke even.
broke-
We typically do break even,
Yeah.
but this year, of course, we're increasing lifeguard.
725 to 50 or 50.
So currently it's a 10, 11, 12, and we're restructuring it to go further up. And then, of course, we do provide the certification. A lot of those who were lifeguards last year that we provide that certification have already shown interest in wanting to come back. So that's a fee we're not gonna have because they're already certified. It's good for 2 years. The cost of the pool itself, we're not doing as many repairs.
So that would be lower,
So that
but
should
then
be
pay
lower.
is a little higher, so we'll see.
So, and then
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I'm praying for rain, so I hope we come under, because when we do have rain, typically we do close the pool, so we will lose that revenue. But I'd rather have the rain.
Sure. Yeah. Can you tell me, and I'm not trying to catch 22 yet, are we doing 15 an hour base rate or no?
So we were gonna start at 12, 13, 14. So 12 for first year. If you're coming back, it would be 13, and then if you're
And is that because this is contractual labor or is that, okay? Okay. I just want to.
it's seasonal. I shouldn't say contractual. It's
Yeah,
seasonal.
seasonal. Okay. Okay. I hear you.
Councilmember,
Yeah, that's all I got. Thank you.
Councilmember Stevens.
Nothing else.
Okay,
One thing, just to check a typo on page 309, Gio, am I crazy? The third whereas the city council has been presented and proposed fees for the fiscal year 2024 and has determined. Does that need to be 2025?
Yes.
So we'll just amend that. The third whereas.
Is that the motion to amend?
I'll make a motion that we correct the typographical error in the third whereas we correct whereas the city council has been presented with proposed fees for the fiscal year 2024. We change that to 2025.
Second.
any other comments, discussion about the amendment, the main motion? All right, let's vote on the amendment with to correct the typo in the third whereas to 2025.
Aye.
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 Let's vote on the amendment. Let's vote on the main motion as amended.
Aye.
Aye.
City Secretary, council voted unanimously for the amendment to correct the typo from 2024 to 2025 and the main motion as amended. Okay, moving on to action item F, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Action item F is to approve the High Intensity Drug Traffic Award, HIDA, for fiscal year 2026.
I need a motion.
High intensity drug traffic award, identified for fiscal year 2026, in the amount of $259,000.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion, city manager.
The city of Alpine has participated in the HIDA program for over 20 years. Currently, the information that has been provided, they asked us to utilize 2025's budget for the 26-year grant. There is one note that the positions, and I know I'd speak to Councilor Nance about it, is the personnel includes 3 positions. They're moving forward with the fiscal year 25 budget that includes the 3, but HIDA's actually removed one of those positions. So that money will be reallocated to something else. This is in support of the high intensity drug trafficking. This is monitored through ONDCP, which is the Office of the National Drug Control Policy. It's a federal grant. Our individuals who work this program work closely with DEA, a lot of undercover work. So we're hoping that this grant gets approved so we can continue the program.
Right. Councilmember Nance?
The only comment, just so I heard correctly, so we had 184,000 for 3 officers. We're only hiring 2, but that money will be reallocated towards something else.
Yes, and I know that Chief Lasoya is already working with the DEA office in regards to how we can reallocate it. We reallocated part of the 23-24 money to purchase a unmarked vehicle. So we'll continue with kind of trying to provide the resources for the 2 that are there.
Councilmember Stevens?
Additional comments, thank you.
Councilmember Escobedo? Councilmember Stone?
I don't like unmarked vehicles, but I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, let's vote.
Either does Chief Lasoya.
Hey.
Aye.
Aye.
City Secretary, Council voted to approve the high intensity drug traffic award for fiscal year 2026 with Councilmember Stevens, Councilmember Escobedo, Councilmember Nance voting in favor, Councilmember Stone voted against. Moving on to action item G, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Action item G is to approve the 2025 tax agreement between Brewster County Tax Office and the City of Alpine for collection of city property tax.
I need a motion.
2025 tax agreement between Brewster County Tax Office and the City of Alpine for collection of city property taxes.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion, City Manager.
Typically, this is approved before the fiscal year starts. Unfortunately, it kind of got put on the back burner. In discussion with the judge, we had kind of gone back and forth. It hadn't been approved at the time. We did receive an invoice, and so I questioned it because we didn't have a contract. We got the contract, we're getting it approved. So what the tax office does is they collect all of our property taxes on our behalf and make the deposits.
Okay. Councilmember Stone,
Got nothing on this. Thank you.
Councilmember Nance.
3 questions. We have not paid this. Are we gonna pay lump sum or quarterly?
So I usually pay it lump sum.
Okay, and that will be coming soon.
So ideally, we should have made our first quarterly payment in January, but we have not paid. So as soon as this is approved, then we can make the payment.
Lump sum, okay. And then next one, the contract said we choose our own delinquent tax collector. Is that Purdue?
Yes, sir.
That was
Okay, Councilmember Escobedo,
No question.
Councilmember Stevens,
Thanks.
let's vote.
Aye.
Aye.
City Secretary, Council unanimously approved the 2025 tax agreement between Brewster County Tax Office and the City of Alpine. Okay, and we're at the hour mark, so we're going to take a 5-minute break. City Secretary, the break starts at 7:28 p.m.
7:30. Anybody bet? Nobody bet?
I said 9:30.
8:15.
But I think I might be pleasantly surprised.
I think I'm.
Whoa, that's.
32.
Long executive session.
You're dismissed it.
I know. Hey, I'm usually right.
I know you are. Hey, hang out once in a while, not bad.
There you go. It's ready when you are.
Okay, it is now 7:33. It's been 5 minutes. Calling us back into session. So we have finished action items. We're moving on to executive reports. And for each executive report, 6 minutes, please, city secretary. For the city mayor report, I just want to mention that I thank council very much for what you do. And I thank the members who are going to be leaving us shortly. Thank you for all your service. And also thank you guys for being prepared and ready and moving the discussion items and the action items along since you have studied the background material. Thank you for that. All right, and that's it. City manager, 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just some update on everything that's been going on. We have, like I mentioned, made changes within the water department. We do have the wastewater treatment project for the small systems asset management grant that we have with the Water Development Board. The draft is coming due on the 24th. I want to give Richard and Michael a big congratulations. They put a lot of effort into it. It is a bit of a sticker shock because year one is about 8.8 million. It does provide kind of the maintenance outline and how do we get the system where it needs to be? What is our current inventory? Which will tie back beautifully for our current capital asset system as well. They're also working with the improvements at the actual wastewater treatment plant. All drying beds are up and running that are allowed to be up and running. We have 2 that are decommissioned. As of this weekend and visiting with Richard Sunday, they had emptied out into one of the drying beds on Friday and Saturday. They were almost ready to rake it. So that's a huge turnover for them, huge improvements. And then of course the clarifier. We are working through the meter reading. We're finding our issues and our errors, trying to get those corrected, trying to reduce the workload, work smarter, not harder. Unfortunately, we have had multiple sewer backups and water leaks that also have to be addressed at the same time. We're working through those. We've narrowed down our tap assessments from around 19 to about 6. And then we're third partying the tap installations to get that process speed up so developers aren't waiting. The gas department did complete their DIM for 2024 and are starting on their 2025, as well as the big project that they have ongoing in Fort Davis.
Can you explain what DIMP is? for
So
those?
that is the damage. Oh my gosh.
It was in a roll.
I know. My brain switched right. Damage intervention maintenance program. So they are required to maintain and replace certain amount of material on their steel to poly every year, as well as some of their risers. So every year they not only meet those requirements, but they exceed it. So we're excited about that. And then the Fort Davis project is a huge undertaking. We had a couple residents out there request to add gas to their current properties, about a $17,000 extension to reach to where they're at through all rock. So that's been an ongoing project. PD has done nothing but training. I give them props because they have been actively involved with our community every weekend, every week with different projects, with different events. So that has been wonderful to see them out there. We had our TIMS meeting, which is the traffic incident management. It's all of the entities within our area trying to communicate with TxDOT and DPS and the sheriff's department, emergency management, the city. So if we were to have an accident, you know, how do we coordinate? How do we work together? Anyone know of anyone at Border Patrol who wants to buy property? We solved our train bridge incident. We know how to reroute them. We just need someone to buy the property. We'll put a road. TxDOT will pave it up to the railroad tracks. So kind of excited because we've got solutions, maybe not ones that will, you know, move forward, but there's stuff out there. It's kind of been exciting. DPS Sergeant Jonathan Rutledge reached out when we were talking after the meeting. And he has offered DPS to do stop the bleed training as a teams level. But I've also requested for especially our employees. Stop the Bleed is a program that helps for understanding how to do tourniquets, especially in an emergency situation. I know sometimes we don't think about stuff like that, but if workers out in the field, they're cutting a pipe, or the shovel breaks and goes right through an artery, or anything that happens, we're gonna get them trained to be able to manage those with tourniquets, and how do you address it. Ideally, it may not always solve the problem, but at least they'll be better prepared. Of course, we don't wish these types of accidents, but we want to be prepared. So we have our first training coming up. It will be combined with other agencies within the area, and then we're gonna focus on the city specifically to get all of our, especially our field workers trained so that they're prepared if there's an emergency accident. It's just good information to have. It's a little bit more in depth than first aid training, so we're really excited about that. The audit for 2023 is almost completed. I'm currently working with finance on the MD&A, and then we'll get that presented to council, and then they'll get into the 2024 audit, elections, and never a dull moment.
Great, thank you. All right, so moving on to council member comments, 1 minute each. Councilmember Stevens.
No additional comments, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Escobedo.
I did want to say thank you to everybody that went to the Pueblo Novo Park and everybody that took part in it. I was overwhelmed. It was amazing to see everybody there and pull together. There was, and just to see the nonstop of people that have been going, completely different people that I didn't expect. I had tourists or a couple of tourist people that have stopped and said, oh, because I asked them, how did you find this park? And they were saying on the Google stuff, and I said, okay. And they're like, it's easy. You just go from here to La Casita and off.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, I didn't think about that, but okay.
Good, good. Councilmember Nance.
Since this is really the last meeting, I just wanted to thank the current council. It's been a great functional council, and honor to work with everyone up here, and then Judy, Chris, and Martine from the previous council, all great people, and the mayor as well. The whole time we've been together. And also thank all the employees learning about this job, learning about the city employees, and just the investment that we've made in the employees and the equipment, to kind of really start moving things forward. It's been a great experience for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Mayor. Want to say the same thing. It's been an honor to be up here to serve Ward 1, to be able to serve city employees and the public service that they provide. I've enjoyed getting to work with you, Mayor. We maybe don't always agree on everything, but we can still work on some other issues as well. It's been an honor to get to know each of y'all as well. I gotta say, y'all truly care about what you do, and I can see that in your heart. I hope that we'll continue looking out for the most vulnerable in this community. And I look forward, as Councilor Stevens said on Saturday, that I ain't really going nowhere. And so I'm going to continue pushing things, and who knows what the next step is. The first thing, we're going to ban those billboards, but keep on working, and look forward to seeing y'all after these meetings. But thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, so that brings us to item number 15, executive session pursuant to chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. The city council reserves the right to convene into executive session from time to time as deemed necessary during this meeting for any posted agenda item or to receive advice from the attorney as permitted by law. Tonight, the city council will recess into executive session pursuant to chapter 551.071, discussion with the city attorney. May I have a motion to recess into executive session?
Recess into executive session.
May I have a second? Okay. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Aye.
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 City Secretary Council unanimously voted to move into executive session at 7:42 p.m. Okay, thank you. Bye.
You're what? You'd stay there. Oh,
Ready when.
It's door unlocked.
Yeah.
May I have a motion to reconvene into open session?
They are reconvened into open session.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Let's vote.
Aye.
City Secretary, we are reconvening into open session at 8:43 PM. Do we have any action after executive session?
Mayor, I move that the city council take no actions after executive session.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Let's vote.
Aye.
City Secretary, Council has voted unanimously that there is no action after executive session. And with that, we are gonna adjourn at 8:43 PM.
And Reagan, since we're not gonna give a chance to go after